Power Panel, founder of Turning Point USA, author of The MAGA Doctrine, Charlie Kirk, founder of Majority Makers, Jonathan Cott, and Fox News contributor, former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you heard Bernie Sanders there kind of, talking about what are they going to do for these 5 senators who are still on the campaign trail if they got to be here during the day for the trial. It's supposed to go 6 days a week, including Saturdays, but try to get out to these places. I don't know. I guess they're going to all hold events in the same town every night if they're sharing a jet. But a number of them are expressing real consternation about this. The AP reports that Senator Booker says this: if this trial lasts 2 weeks, that is literally dozens of events we won't be able to do. Politico, talking about Senator Warren, says the face-to-face, the handshake, a hug, and being able to hold up the children so they can take pictures with you, to ask a question, to do a pinky promise, and all of that is lost if we can't be there in person. Jason, who benefits on the trail if these 5 senators are trapped in D.C.?
Well, the pinky promise actually is good politics, but I got to tell you, probably the one that benefits the most is Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He's not tied to any of this. I think during a trial that certainly Hunter Biden and Joe Biden has brought up time and time again, and then you take all of the senators and put them on the sidelines. But you know what? The only person they need to go talk to is Nancy Pelosi. The Democrats created this problem. They made up this problem. And if it causes problems for their presidential candidates, call 1-800-Speaker Pelosi, and that's who they need to blame.
Well, one of our favorite tweets on this comes from Comfortably Smug, if you're familiar with his tweets out there in the world, always stirring the pot, says this: serious question for Bernie supporters. Are you upset Nancy Pelosi has timed the meaningless impeachment trial to help Biden and keep Bernie in the Senate off the campaign trail in Iowa? Or are you now used to the Democratic establishment screwing Bernie and knew it would be rigged? Jonathan.
I think Bernie Sanders supporters are going to be upset about it, and they're rightfully upset that they're not going to have their candidate on the campaign trail. I think Elizabeth Warren is right. Like, her best attribute is her being there in person, talking to voters. There's a reason she has 3-hour selfie lines. People enjoy talking to her. It's the way she connects best with voters. I would argue that Vice President Biden also benefits from this. He's going to have the campaign trail relatively to himself. And if you're a Democrat, the entire time you're going to hear that Donald Trump was so worried about running against Joe Biden, he asked a foreign country to dig up dirt on him. And that's not a bad thing for Biden to have out there. You know, the polls show him leading in almost every swing state on Trump, so this is just going to further solidify that message for him.
Okay, but Charlie, also for the former vice president, his name's probably going to come up in this Senate trial a lot. If the folks who are defending the president have anything to say about it, Biden's going to be, and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, you're going to hear that a lot during this trial.
That's exactly right, no doubt. And unlike the House proceedings, the Senate proceedings, the president will actually be able to offer a defense. He'll actually be able to, we'll see the actual process, but if it's anything like the Clinton impeachment proceedings, there will be some form of depositions or cross-examinations, and that's still going to be ironed out. What I think is the great irony about all these senators potentially being quarantined to this entire impeachment proceeding or trial, or however you want to word it, is that Nancy Pelosi was catering to the most radical elements of the base. And now, as a byproduct of that, the most radical senators that could potentially become president that were endorsed by the radical elements of the House will now be trapped. Which I just find to be very interesting irony. If it actually does indeed harm Senator Warren or Senator Bernie Sanders' electability or the chances of them winning, you could blame people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib that were just pushing for impeachment since the moment they took the House of Representatives, and the person they endorsed, Senator Bernie Sanders, he's going to be trapped for 6 days a week listening to this impeachment trial.
Although they're going to ride pool, apparently UberX the jet. I don't know exactly how that works. But
I would love to see that.
They should put a camera. Honestly, that could be a good reality show with those ladies and gentlemen all together. Okay, let's turn to the news out of Iran. Stunning news tonight that there is an admission by the military that they unintentionally took down that Ukrainian jetliner. 176 people on board, passengers and crew, died. Now, Iran's foreign minister has just tweeted out this, saying, a sad day, preliminary conclusions of internal investigation by armed forces, this is the explanation, human error at a time of crisis caused by U.S. adventurism led to disaster. Our profound regrets, apologies, and condolences to our people, to the families of all victims, and to other affected nations. Jason, they're taking a page out of the book. We've heard the last couple of days that this ultimately traces back and is the fault of President Trump.
Well, I mean, that's just it's silly, but at the end of the day, it's sad. I mean, we have our friends, the Canadians whose families will never come back. These people's lives were taken, as well as all the others. So there needs to be a time to mourn for them. I think everybody can see. I'm glad the Iranians are admitting that they shot down their own plane that took off from their own airport. But to suggest that Donald Trump is somehow culpable is disgusting, really.
Yeah, it's fired up a lot of people. Now, Democrats out on the campaign trail, though, are getting pushback from a lot of people who feel like in their criticism of the president, Democrats are going too soft on the Iranians, and somebody like Soleimani, who murdered thousands of people because of his orders, his commands, hundreds of them that we know of were Americans. Here's a protester confronting Senator Warren about this today on the trail.
You're siding with ISIS! You're siding with Iran! Why are you siding with terrorists for? Why are you siding with terrorists for? My grandfather died in World War II! You're a fraud! Disgusting! Green New Deal! Liar!
This is a man who's deeply upset. It's all right. It's time for you to leave. It's time for you to leave.
I mean, very, very upset. And she said she didn't want to engage with him because he did seem so upset. But Jonathan and Charlie, I want to get comments from both of you about, how this plays on the campaign trail when you're criticizing the president in a moment of really import on foreign policy. Jonathan, to you first.
I think Democrats have all said it was good that he was killed. It was. They're not arguing that. I think what they're arguing is the rationale for why you did it now. And the president had the opportunity to tell members of Congress. They came up and briefed them, and almost all of them said it was the worst briefing they've ever seen. Mike Lee and Rand Paul were disgusted by it. So Democrats aren't saying that they're upset that we killed a terrorist. I think they all think that's probably what should have been done. What they're concerned about is what happens next. We've gotten into a lot of wars, and we didn't have an exit plan. And right now, Donald Trump didn't really give a rationale for why he had to do it that day, and their entire administration has fumbled what they're going to do afterwards, and we're seeing that right now, and I think that's what Democrats are upset about. He has no plan, and right now he's telling us, after 3 years of criticizing the entire intelligence agencies and community, he's now saying,
Okay.
Believe it, but
Let me make sure we get Charlie in here with a final word. I mean, Senator Warren is among those who are connecting the dots like, hey, was this about impeachment? You got to ask that question.
Well, look, Senator Warren asked why now. I'll tell you exactly why now. Our embassy was stormed and they killed an American contractor. And the guy that was responsible for over 600 American lives was in Iraq trying to cause more trouble. And the president's own words tonight on this network said that potentially 4 other embassies could be put in jeopardy. So that's why now that the leading terrorist in the entire region was potentially up to no good at all. And the president acted decisively. And the world is a better place thanks to that.
Okay. Charlie, Jonathan, and Jason, thank you all for being with us tonight. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right. She is a party superstar, but tonight